remastered Grand Theft Auto isn't quite all that we hoped for. Let's take a look at what we're psyched for from Disney Plus Day. And how is that new Call of Duty? And I've got some thoughts on Shin Megami Tensei V. All that and the latest and everything cool today in The Rundown. Hey, welcome to The Rundown. My name is Victor Lucas. Glad to see you here in the Electric Playground. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at the Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation. They've got tournaments happening every single weekend that you do not want to miss out on, and you can find out all about them at tgs.gg. All right, today's episode is dedicated to Crisco, who says, I can't wait for the show. I've been such a big fan of Boba Fett for a long time. I'm also really excited to see what Amy Hennig and Skydance bring us for a Marvel game. Me too, buddy. And that Boba Fett show is coming up very soon. And in fact, Disney Plus has got a bunch of ways to celebrate not only Boba Fett, but all of the stuff that's headed our way. Let's take a look. As I'm recording this, Disney is celebrating Disney Plus Day, which represents 2 years of the streaming service, and they're taking a look back at some of the big hits like The Mandalorian, but they're also showing off a lot of stuff that's headed our way, lots of cool new Marvel properties, lots of cool new Star Wars chatter in there for sure, and also some familiar Disney characters and properties. One that I'm super excited about is Baymax, because I loved Big Hero 6 and I love the character of Baymax. They're making a new show around Baymax, and he looks as adorable and as eager to help as he always has. Very funny stuff. That's coming out in 2022. I can't wait for the new Baymax show. Now, Disney had a ton of Marvel news that dropped today, and some very exciting things are that Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is actually available right now, and tied to that is this whole new IMAX experience around Shang-Chi, but a bunch of the other Marvel movies, which really changes the aspect ratio, fills up that whole 16:9 frame on your televisions so you can see all of the Marvel visuals and the Marvel superheroics in a much more up-close and personal kind of way. I'm looking forward to rewatching some classic Marvel stuff, but also to see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings again, because I love that freaking movie. Also available now is Jungle Cruise, which was another cool Disney flick that came out earlier this year, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Emily Blunt. Really enjoyed that one. And in other Marvel news, there's going to be a new Spider-Man animated series headed our way called Spider-Man Freshman Year, and I guess this is going to be about the early days of Spider-Man. No word if Tom Holland is going to reprise the role, but I suspect he is going to do that. I think this sounds like a really cool idea. I can't wait to watch this. I'm really curious to see what the animation style is going to be. We know what the animation style is going to be on X-Men 97. They're picking up on the classic 90s X-Men animated series, and they're making new episodes, and those are going to be available in 2023. I can't wait for that. Also, Agatha Harkness from Marvel's WandaVision is getting her own show called House of Harkness, and Catherine Hahn killed it on that series. I loved WandaVision, and Agatha was a huge part of it. So clearly Disney and Marvel are dipping into the adoration that a lot of people like myself have for this character. And we'll probably get something kind of creepy and spooky and funny, digging into this interesting magic-powered villainess and what she's kind of capable of. And people always say that one of the biggest problems with the Marvel universe is that they don't have the villains to counteract the strength of their heroes. And so when you get a cool character like Agatha Harkness and she gets her own show, that could be a great way to kind of extend her reach in the MCU. And of course, we're only about a week away from the new Hawkeye show, based big time on the old classic Matt Fraction comic series. Hawkeye is a great character, and there's some really interesting takes on this, so I can't wait to see how this show comes together. And I'm going to be talking to some of the cast members, and I'll have some thoughts on the series very soon right here. Now, over in the Star Wars universe, we got a little teaser taste of what's coming up from Obi-Wan. No footage of what the show looks like yet. Deborah Chow is going to be the showrunner on the series. She did some incredible work on The Mandalorian, so really looking forward to seeing how Deborah Chow handles this new show based on Obi-Wan, played by Ewan McGregor, and Hayden Christensen is coming back as Darth Vader, and they're due for a showdown again, which could be incredible. Very, very excited about that. Also excited that there is a new Boba Fett documentary on Disney Plus right now. It's called Under the Helmet, and it features interviews with a whole bunch of different people from the Star Wars universe, including George Lucas and Dave Filoni. Looks amazing. amazing. I've always loved Boba Fett ever since I first kind of was, made aware of him in 1980 with The Empire Strikes Back. I know he was in the Christmas special, but I didn't really catch that. Or if I watched it, I blanked it out of my mind as quickly as possible. But this documentary, I'm definitely watching. Can't wait to see this. And Disney and Marvel and Lucasfilm and all kinds of other divisions of Disney are going to be putting up a whole bunch more stuff around Disney Plus Day. And they're also offering a pretty deep discount for that first month to become a subscriber to Disney Plus. And I got to tell you, I'm watching stuff on there all the time. I watched The Mandalorian, like the first season, like 3 or 4 times because I couldn't believe it existed. And then, they've just ramped up production on a bunch of really cool shows. And clearly, they've got a lot of stuff to be excited for coming up soon. All right, let's get talking about that Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition release, shall we? Yesterday, I streamed a whole bunch of Rockstar's Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. I streamed it on the PlayStation 5. I went through each of the games. I didn't finish them, of course, but I played a bunch of each of the games, and I was generally quite pleased with the way that it looked on the PlayStation 5. Yes, the models all look a little bit, dated and janky based on sort of modern technology, for sure. It doesn't look like Grand Theft Auto 5 by any stretch of the imagination, but I kind of like the hyper surreal kind of stylized look of all of these characters. It reminded me a lot of what The Sims would look like in the Grand Theft Auto universe. They didn't have finger articulation and things like that, but they had some details and some textures and stuff on the characters that made them look a little more closer to reality than the old PlayStation 2 originals. Generally, it looked great. I had it running in performance mode, so everything was running close to 60 frames per second, and there's some pretty cool visual effects, nice reflections and shines and textures and a pretty decent draw distance on everything. Everything looks super clean. But the other thing that I did is I checked out the Switch version of this release as well. And man, it was really hard to play the Switch after playing the PlayStation 5 versions. Really shocking, the discrepancy. We went from like close to 60 frames per second in performance mode on the PlayStation 5 to, somewhere in between 20 and 30 frames per second. A miserable draw distance. As you're driving, you'll see cars just kind of materialize in front of you. And the weather effects and the texturing and stuff on the characters and the details on the characters, everything is super dark and muddy as well on the Switch version. Honestly, I had to adjust the brightness and contrast on both PlayStation and on Nintendo Switch to get the best looking image that I could, but I did find it really hard to sit back and enjoy what I was looking at on the Nintendo Switch when I was playing it on the television. It improves dramatically when you take the Nintendo Switch out of the dock and you play everything in handheld mode and you're playing these classic, irrefutably important and still valuable games in portable mode. That's pretty cool. I do have to contend that. And there was quite a bit of detail that was applied to each of these games as Rockstar went along back in the day, so you'll see the night sky filled with stars by the time you're getting into San Andreas. And there's just so much more environment to explore and a lot more subtlety in the storytelling, although everything is a lot more heavy-handed now in 2021 than you remember from 20 years ago. But still, extraordinary games to replay. I'm definitely going to continue playing all 3 of these games. And I'll probably decide to play more of the Switch stuff in portable mode, when I'm traveling or I've got my Switch on the couch and just sort of hanging out and not in front of the TV. But the PlayStation 5 versions, I'm quite happy with them, and I do recommend them. We were talking about that on chat on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/EPN yesterday. People were asking if it seemed worth it, and I think they actually do on the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X, I would imagine. I haven't had time to check it out on the Xbox Series X. The horsepower of these machines presents some technical bump-ups that make revisiting these games really quite cool. I'm a little disappointed in the Switch versions, honestly. I mean, we're talking about PlayStation 2 ports. They've been upgraded, and there are some enhancements, but there are way better-looking modern Nintendo Switch games on the platform. Even some open world stuff that just looks much better than this. That's disappointing. It feels a little like they rushed it out, and now they've got some patching to do on all platforms, I would imagine, to smooth everything out. It's cool that we have these games again, but yeah, I think it's pretty hard to call them definitive when they feel a little unrefined, a little unfinished like that. But still, I much preferred the experience playing them on the PlayStation 5, and I recommend that collection on that platform for sure. All right, now let's talk a little bit about Call of Duty Vanguard. You know what? I'm always happy to jump into a new Call of Duty experience because I can expect to be entertained, and that's to varying degrees of success from iteration to iteration, but I enjoyed Call of Duty Vanguard. I liked going back to World War II, even though that's familiar territory for shooters and especially for the Call of Duty franchise, but it put a smile on my face to play as these 4 individual heroes, which we get some backstory on. They're all hell-bent on taking down some Nazi scumbags. One of them is played by Dominic Monaghan, and he's terrific. He's a real mustache-twirling evildoer in this game. And so how we get to know these characters, though, which are eventually trapped by Dominic Monaghan, and he's interrogating them all, is through these backstory vignettes. And we get a little snippet and a little detail on their backgrounds and where they have been fighting, because each of these characters is fighting in different parts of the world. Like Lucas is fighting in North Africa. He's taking control of a tank. We've got a pilot named Wade Jackson, and we actually get some air combat missions in here. We have a paratrooper that's parachuting down and leading troops. The standout in the game, Paulina the sniper, played by Laura Bailey, who's terrific. It's fun to kind of see into each of these different stories. It makes the game feel like there's lots of territory to explore and lots of different nuance and value out of the experience. And of course, all of that level design and character building stuff is pushed over into the zombies mode and then also into multiplayer as well. And so every aspect of the game kind of benefits from the high level of production that these games always deliver and that players always expect. And I gotta tell you, the cut sequences are so close to cinema quality at this point, it's crazy. You could really almost see a Call of Duty animated movie coming together based off of what we're seeing in this game. It's extraordinary work. I was really pleased with that. And I was really impressed by all of the acting work and the script writing. Yes, the campaign is over fairly quickly, but I think there are some replayable sequences in there for sure, like the Stalingrad sequence playing as Paulina. It's just amazing. There's a great sense of mobility and ducking under cover and trying to be stealthy and sneaky and utilizing all of your wits and your different weaponry. I had fun. I had a good time playing the campaign. And it was cool. I was streaming all of this stuff. I streamed the entire campaign with people on our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/EPN. Then I streamed some zombies stuff, and I streamed some multiplayer stuff. The zombies mode, I think, is interesting because there's now like this hub component of the gameplay where you can, level up your weapons and spend some money to get new weapons, get new ammo, get yourself some of these occult style benefits, and then you can jump into a portal if everybody decides on your team that they're going to go and do like an escort type mission or a survival type mission or whatever, and you're going from wave after wave after wave. I feel like zombies, though, is wasted unless you love that mode on playing it with strangers. Like, I just felt like I've played the zombies mode so many times I just couldn't get engaged. I like the aesthetics, I like the creepy Nazi obsession with the cult and the mythology that's built around these zombies modes every year. It's cool, but we've done it so often. I do feel, though, that if you've got a bunch of buds that love zombies, this is going to deliver big time. It's a lot of fun. The challenge ramps up pretty well. Those initial levels, though, if you've played zombies before, are pretty dry. They're pretty boring. It's so easy, and it just takes a long time to kind of really ramp that challenge if you've played that stuff before to get exciting. And so I was a little bored, I gotta tell you, about the zombies mode. It looked beautiful, played well, but I was a little bored. That's not the case with multiplayer. I think multiplayer is amazing this year. It's taking and pulling from lots of Call of Duties in the past. There's a great sense of scale in terms of map size. It can shrink down. There's a fantastic moving King of the Hill type mode in there. I forget what it's called, but I really dug it. I loved staying within a circle as it's moving around the map and everybody's trying to get in there and take you out.
Got ya. Okay. Oh!
Thought that was awesome. Lots of capture the hill type modes in here and objective modes, blowing up things with bombs, team deathmatch, or go out and just free for all and kill anybody that you can. I found this particular sequence in one map. I found the perfect place to camp, and I was just getting kill after kill after kill, and then I won a kill streak perk of getting a flamethrower, and I was just burning up everybody. I was cackling.
Oh shit! Oh no! Oh my god.
It was crazy. But it was fun. I was having a total blast playing with, a bunch of people I didn't know and still just loving it. I think it's really tuned, it's really fast, it's really fun. It's not reaching the levels of the Titanfall 2 type of multiplayer, which I really love, where your mobility is just out of this world, and then you've got these mechs that you can jump into. There's some cool toys, bombs that you can guide, and little robots that you can control, all from this vantage point of 1940s can-do science, which I think is cool. I love this era. It's just been visited so many times. I think that this was done quite well, though. And I think, like most Call of Duty games, there's just so much value. There's really 3 distinct experiences in here. They're not quite full-fleshed AAA games, but when you collect them all, there's certainly enough here to justify the cost of that ticket price. This is a game filled with value, and it's filled with fun. And I'm happy that Activision shot me out the review code so I could review it for you guys. I had a really good time with Call of Duty Vanguard, and I'm definitely going to be playing more of that multiplayer. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And finally, I've been playing Shin Megami Tensei V on the Nintendo Switch. Atlas and Sega sent me out a review code for the game. It's a big Japanese role-playing game, and I'm not an aficionado for the Shin Megami Tensei series. I don't know all of the ins and outs of it, but I've heard fantastic things about this game, so I was super excited to jump in and play it. And I've been having a lot of fun with it, but it is not one of these easy to onboard experiences. It's a challenging game, kind of right from the outset, but as you pick up some of the powers, because you play this kid that kind of transforms into a god. You see Tokyo become devastated, and there's this huge battle between angels and demons. You peruse the countryside, fighting with demons, but also talking with them, and sometimes you get them to come aboard and join your party, and then you can fuse demons together, and you're playing with all of their powers, and you're facing up against all kinds of really interesting and well-created and crafted different characters out there that look unlike anything else that I've seen in any other games. Lots of twisted creations, lots of spooky and weird ones, and there's this eerie kind of vibe about the environment that you're cruising around in. It just feels a little oppressive, but it's also incredibly enticing and beautiful as well. Loving the music and loving the vibe of the game so far. I'm not deep into it. I basically got to one of the first big boss fights in there, and it's a massive choke point. He took one hit at me and knocked out my whole party, and was like, okay, I need to grind some more and level up in this thing. But so far, I think it's a big, beautiful, challenging, well-crafted bit of interactive storytelling, and it's incredibly compelling. So I'll play more, and I'll come back with some final thoughts on it. But yeah, big thumbs up so far for Shin Megami Tensei V. It's another standout game for the Nintendo Switch in 2021. Oh, and one last thing. It looks like Metroid Dread is a big hit for Nintendo, which is fantastic. It's an incredible game, easily one of the most memorable and enjoyable, also challenging experiences of 2021. I'm just so happy that people are playing a 2D Metroid game, and playing and loving a 2D Metroid game in 2021. That's great. The Switch is also selling like crazy. The Switch OLED had 314,000 units sold in its first month, which is great. Nintendo Switch is the top-selling console. Again, it's been in that space for a long time, although back in September, the PlayStation 5 actually beat it and became the best-selling console of that month. But the Switch is back on top. The OLED is selling like crazy, and people are buying and playing and loving Metroid Dread. And Nintendo, I would love for you to announce another 2D Metroid game, please. And also, we want a collection of all the classic GBA Metroid games, and lots of behind-the-scenes stuff as well, because we all love Metroid, right? All right, you guys, that's going to do it for the rundown today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back very soon with some brand new content for you. Thank you for hitting that subscribe button if you dig the channel. Thank you for also following along on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/EPN. And thank you especially to all of our EPN members. You guys all rock. We'll see you soon. And until then, play forever.